Hi, this is Les Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. And a year without sports for the most part, now we've got plenty. If you've been following the NBA playoffs, you've seen plenty of games, plenty of exciting ones too. Baseball getting to roll out their playoffs, and the NFL will get started tomorrow night. I don't know about you, but I didn't think MLB and the NFL would play at all. So let's just sit back, enjoy it, and be happy the games have been or will be played. And they've been quite entertaining for the most part, which is as they should be. The D-Man Dennis Manoloff is here. More sports, and Les Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les Levine, it's a Wednesday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les Levine, powered by cleveland.com. Powered by cleveland.com is Dennis Manoloff, the D-Man, WTAM 1100. Hello, D-Man. How are you?
What's up, Les? Great to be on, as always.
Great to have you on, as always. All right, we were talking before, not so much what a genius Rob Manfred is, because I'm still not ready to tag him with that. But how about the fact that the Yankees are not in a good position? The Red Sox are done. The Mike Trout, the best player in baseball, who nobody sees, they're done too, pretty much, as far as the Angels are concerned. And you got some Tampa Bay and Cleveland and Minnesota. That's the way it should be. That these teams should have a chance to make it.
Yeah, Les. I mean, first and foremost, you give credit to Rob Manfred, the commissioner of baseball. Number one, he imposed the season. Number two, he followed through and said, we're not going to quit, when it would have been easy to quit, because remember, there was the outbreak amongst the Marlins, the outbreak amongst the Cardinals, and many people, I'm sure, were chirping in Manfred's ear saying, you gotta fold this up. This is it, permanent pause. You're not going to finish this season. And he said, no, I'm not a quitter. We're going to keep going. And I think about tomorrow night, Les, is a historic day in professional sports, because tomorrow night you will have all four of the major sports in North America, NBA, NFL, NHL, MLB, playing meaningful games, because the NFL will kick off with the Texans at the Chiefs. The MLB will be in the regular season. NBA is in the playoffs, and NHL's in the playoffs. That has never been done in my lifetime. I don't think it's ever been done in your lifetime, Les. I don't think it's been done, period. So tomorrow is a historic day in professional sports.
Well, congratulations to all of them, because as I mentioned in the open, D-Man, I didn't think they'd all make it through to start, let alone finish. So at least it's been entertaining, that's for sure. I got to tell you something. I hate a lot of the things that led up to the baseball situation, but having games at all times is fun, and scoreboard watching is even more fun.
Yeah, and Les, we talked about this on previous shows. I didn't think I was going to like the double headers of 7 innings apiece. I like those. I didn't know that I was going to like the 3-batter rule minimum for a reliever. I'm okay with that. I didn't think I would like this runner on second to start extra innings. I'm not saying I like it, but I don't dislike it like I thought I would. I thought
something for them to consider.
What's that?
Something for them to consider for the future.
Well, yeah, it truly is. And by the way, speaking of considering for the future, the expanded playoffs, I mean, you watch when this season ends and the ratings come in for the 8 teams in each league playoff setup, that's going to be something that they're going to continue to use going forward. If you think we're going back to reduce the number of playoff teams after this year, then I think you got another thing coming.
Yeah, but you also have to, in Cleveland's case, and you can spread it through the whole league, you have to find a way that Cleveland's not playing Kansas City every day and a half. And other teams have the same problem. I mean, you're trying to show your major league product, watching the Kansas City Royals every day. If George Brett isn't on that team, I don't need to watch.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of the good and the bad that comes with playing in the AL Central. When you're in the AL Central, you feel like you're going to have a shot if you're the Indians at this market size, this budget size. But the flip side of that is you're usually going to get one, maybe two teams, maybe three teams in a rebuild of some sort. So the quality of competition at the bottom end isn't going to be all that great. But to that point, though, give credit to the Indians for continuing to retool, reconfigure, and not rebuild. You know, Antonetti and Chernoff under the Dolan ownership have not torn this thing down, and therefore the Indians have remained competitive year over year, and it looks like they will continue to remain competitive for years to come.
Yeah.
And that's a credit to Indians baseball ops president Chris Antonetti and general manager Mike Trout.
Well, you're absolutely right. Unfortunately, the poster child for this season is going to be Francisco Lindor, and they'll have to deal with that. I respect you as much as anybody in the media as far as the down and dirty acts of baseball and how you get to where you get to. Adam Simber, to me, who was optioned out today, Adam Simber, to me, might be the worst sinker ball pitcher I've ever seen. Even if it's a bad sinker ball pitcher, he at least gets it over the plate and there's a little angle on the ball that the guy can't hit. This guy gets lit up every night. I've never seen anything. I've never seen anything like it.
It was unfortunate when the Indians acquired him, along with Brad Hand. You know, you're thinking, okay, this is a legitimate change of pace guy. He comes at you with that funky delivery, basically scrapes the mound with his arm before he releases. And I thought that would create all kinds of deception and movement on his pitches. But it seems like the longer he's been with the Indians, the less deception there is and the flatter the pitches are. And that's why you saw him get sent to the alternate site today.
Now also, if you watch the last two games with the Indians and Brad Hand came on 2 nights ago, to me, D-Man, he looked afraid to throw the ball. He looked like he was holding on to it till the last second and then finally would just fling it up there. Last night he came in and he had a purpose. He knew exactly what he wanted to do, and he did it, and he was absolutely unhittable.
Yeah, Les, I don't have an issue at all with Brad Hand this year. I mean, why should I? He's leading the major leagues in saves. So he, more often than not, much more often than not, Brad Hand has looked really good. And, you know, I know there were people at the beginning of the season when he was going through a little bit of a rough patch. Oh, you got to put Karinchak in there. And I said, Karinchak's time, James Karinchak's time will come as a closer in the majors, but it's not here right now. I think Brad Hand has earned the right to come out of this slump, and he has done so.
All right, have you heard anything on Terry Francona to make us optimistic he's going to come back this season?
No, I really haven't, Les, and you know how private medical news is these days, or at least it's supposed to be. So I don't know anything that anybody else knows or doesn't know. You wouldn't think that Terry Francona returns to the dugout this year, because here's the thing. He's going to be out for this amount of time, and then you're just going to drop him back in there, and he's going to ramp up all the anxiety and all the nerves that come with postseason baseball. It doesn't make sense to me. If I were the Indians, and I'm pretty sure the Indians have said to Terry Francona, you know, we'd like you to rest this year. Sorry about the dogs. So I hope Terry Francona heeds that and does sit out the remainder of the year.
I think, knowing Francona as we know him, even if he's close to coming back, I think he says, let Sandy run it this year and let's move on.
Yeah, you root for the human first, and you want the human being, Terry Francona, to live a much joyful life, a long, long life beyond what he's already lived. And then on top of that, you say, okay, the manager, the Indians want a really good manager back in the dugout, arguably the best manager in baseball, at least in the top 3 or 5. But I'll say this, Sandy Alomar Jr. looks the part. And if you're going to have an interim manager or an acting manager, it might as well be Sandy Alomar Jr. because to me, he is a manager in waiting. Someday, somewhere, he's going to be managing the major leagues.
Yeah, and he hasn't done anything to hurt himself in the past month or so.
No, somebody's taking notes, Les. We don't know who it is. We don't know what team it is. But some team is out there going, you know what? The Indians look pretty good under Sandy Alomar Jr. We know he was a hot managerial commodity however many years ago. Maybe it's time to revisit Sandy Alomar. Now, there's also the very distinct possibility that there's an understanding within the organization that Sandy Alomar Jr. will be the successor to Terry Francona when Francona decides to retire. Therefore, he would remain as an Indians base coach until that happens. But It wouldn't shock me at all if at least one team comes calling to Sandy Alomar Jr.
And if that happens, you have to let him talk.
You have to what?
If that happens, you have to let him talk to the prospective team. Yeah,
there's no doubt.
216. Go ahead.
He's more than paid his dues.
Right. 216-575-0403. You can email us during the show at reallesslevine@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/moresports and We post a question in the morning, you answer it all day long, then we read it on the air. Pretty easy and pretty fun. We'll do that a little bit later. More Sports and Less Levine is powered by cleveland.com.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Do you like Ohio State football? Would you like to get information from me, Doug Lesmerises, about Ohio State football without having to look at my face? We have got the plan for you. Become an Ohio State text subscriber through cleveland.com. You send a text, 614-350-3315. What do you get? 2, 3, 4 texts right in your phone every day about Ohio State football. Inside information, polls, voting, all kinds of things. You can be on our podcast. We take text subscriber questions on our Buckeye Talk podcast every week. If you really want to be involved with Ohio State football, in season or out of season, become an Ohio State text subscriber from cleveland.com. Send a text to 614-350-3315. 14-day free trial. What do you have to lose? $3.99 a month after that. 614-350-3315. I'll see you in your phone.
Tri-C is here for you. Now more than ever, you need a post-secondary education. So I encourage you to start your journey here at Tri-C. The majority of fall classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your four-year plans have changed, Tri-C is where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
All right, excited to get going here in week one. Got a very formidable foe in the Baltimore Ravens. Really well coached, have a ton of respect for Coach Harbaugh and his staff. And then you look at it, offensive, defensive teams, they're a very complete football team. They went 14-2, won the division, have the reigning MVP. On offense, I just think they're strong at every level. Big offensive line, tight end who's outstanding. The receivers, they can get them the ball in a bunch of different ways. And then, Lamar is so dynamic, can run it, throw it. Defensively, Coach Martindale does a great job. Multiple looks, very aggressive. Adding Calais Campbell and Wolf, I think, is a huge boost to them as well. Just big physical players in the back end, physical man coverage, mix and zone. They added Patrick Queen this year. So impressive group throughout, and we're really diving into our preparations as we speak here on Wednesday.
One of your colleagues in the league said that it's actually you guys that have an advantage because John Harbaugh has to do more speculating than you do. You pretty much know what their offense is, you know what their defense is, you know how they deploy their personnel, and you're completely unknown to some degree. Do you buy that?
No, I don't. And I would tell you every year teams come in with a wrinkle. I can promise you there's things that they've been working on in practice that we haven't seen that wasn't on tape in 2019. That's just the nature of the first game. And I go back to the preseason. Even without the preseason, it's not like us or another team would be showing a lot of that stuff in the preseason. You're saving it for week one. So that's just part of the deal going into week one.
And last one to Mary Kay.
Coach, just what does make Lamar Jackson so good, so hard to defend? And, will you be, burning the midnight oil a little bit this week, trying to worry about this one?
He's dynamic. I mean, he can run it, he can throw it. They have design runs for him, and then he can take off on a pass play. He can hurt you with his arm. He's accurate as a passer. I just think he's a great player. I mean, I grew up watching Randall Cunningham, and that's what it looks like to me, a guy that can just do everything on the field. He's a great player.
Wouldn't you just like it if a coach comes out and said, these guys aren't real good. They were lucky they were 14-2, but those are phony wins, and I don't think we'll have any trouble with them at all on Sunday.
Les, you saw me applaud. Good job, Kevin Stefanski. Very well done. Throw the rose petals at the Ravens. Say they're great. By the way, 14-2, 12 straight victories after that loss to Cleveland last year. They are great. They're the two-time defending AFC North champion. Yes, they in the past two postseasons, one and done. But I love the fact that Kevin Stefanski, the new head coach of the Browns, the new head coach in the NFL, is not saying anything remotely inflammatory that's going to be taken out of context, and the Ravens are going to say they're disrespecting us. No. And by the way, it's not just Stefanski. From what I'm hearing from other Browns this week, they've been heaping the praise on Baltimore. That's fine. Let Baltimore hear how great they are. Maybe you could sneak in and steal one.
Do you think that as far as Baltimore is concerned, that they obviously they're behind. It ended the way they wanted to last year until the playoffs started, and I just wonder if this works out good that Cleveland, with Stefanski's first game is against Baltimore, and vice versa for Baltimore playing against Stefanski.
Yeah, I mean, it really does depend on a lot of variables, Les, including what Stefanski was talking about with the wrinkles, because the Ravens are going to do some things that the Browns didn't expect, and the Browns are going to do some things that the Ravens didn't expect. How's it going to translate? You also wonder about home road now. I mean, the road team, does the road team have an advantage going into a venue where there are no fans? You say, well, automatically, yes. Okay, but what about all the crowd noise and all the bells and whistles that a home team gets to attach to their production? Are they going to make it sound as though you are on the road? I would assume so. So maybe you don't get the type of advantage that you would think if you're a road team, with no fans. So there's so many fascinating dynamics and elements to this matchup. But the bottom line is the Ravens are going to need to stop Nick Chubb, and the Browns are going to need to stop Lamar Jackson. And by the way, both of them on the ground, because I respect Lamar Jackson's ability to throw. Some people don't. I do. His passing numbers were really, really good last year. I think, he led the NFL with 36 TD passes. But still, you've got to stop him on the ground before you worry about him in the air.
All right, 6 interceptions last year. All right, also the Browns will have to worry about the tight end, and that, of course, is Mark Andrews. 64 catches last year, 852 yards, 10 touchdowns. He led the team in all 3 categories. No surprise there. Then again, but I think that's still a good question that I think Mary Kay asked, that when she said, are you going to do anything different, or do you know what they're running? And I think they know what they're running. Whether they can stop it is another story.
Exactly. And if I were the Browns, I know this is very ironic, and I'm using the word correctly, I would go to that Freddie Kitchens tape and go, all right, what did Kitchens dial up that was so good in Baltimore early last year when the Browns punked the Ravens? And by the way, the final score, I think, was 40-25. Wasn't even that close because the Ravens scored in garbage time. So the Browns just took it to them, and you think about where their seasons went from there. The Ravens proceed to rip off 12 wins to close the year, whereas the Browns can only scrounge up 4 more wins the rest of the way. And of course, Kitchens gets fired. But if I'm Stefanski, I look at last year's game film, game tape, DVR, whatever term you use. I also look at the playoff game from last year when the Titans, the wild card Titans, came into Baltimore, heavy underdogs, and they ran the ball down the Ravens' throats with primarily Derrick Henry. And if you're the Browns, you say, well, you know what? We have a guy who's just as good as Derrick Henry by the name of Nick Chubb, who also ran well against Baltimore last year. So clearly Chubb is going to be the focal point of this offense, and you let Mayfield work off of that. And, oh, by the way, if you need a break, if Chubb needs a break, you've got Kareem Hunt, who's a dynamic back as well. So I would think that the Ravens are going to anticipate the Browns are going to run the ball and do a lot of play action, a lot of stuff to the tight ends. That's what Harbaugh's got to be expecting from Stefanski.
Let's see what the Ravens defense did in the 2019 season. Points per game, they gave up 17.6, third in the NFL. 207 yards in passing per game, that's 6th in the NFL. Rushing yards per game, 93, that's 5th. And 25th is where turnovers were tied, and Baltimore was tied for 7th place in that one. D-Man, I don't care what kind of experience they have. It's tough. That first game for either team is tough for different reasons. And that doesn't mean that the Ravens won't be giving up the football on turnovers. They're very susceptible to doing that also.
Right. There's no question about it, Les. And I want to say this, too. Go back 2 years ago. Baker Mayfield, he doesn't get intimidated playing in Baltimore. I mean, they were potentially going to win that game. They were in position to win that game and knock the Ravens out of the playoffs. The Steelers were going to wind up winning the division. And then, Mayfield threw that pick at the end of the game, that deflected pick. He had a bad throw on the out cut to, I believe, Landry that would have been a first down inside the 20. And he misfired there and wound up throwing a pick, and the Ravens won, and they won the division. But it's back-to-back games where the Browns could feel like they did a lot of good things at Baltimore. So I don't think they're intimidated going there. But let me say this about the Browns. It would really be helpful if J.C. Tretter could play. Now, I have my doubts. He was a DNP. I think it was yesterday or today for practice, but they're not ruling him out. But you need a guy of J.C. Tretter's caliber at center for the Cleveland Browns, in my opinion, if you are going to expect to beat the Baltimore Ravens.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. You can email us during the show at les@gmail.com. You can do that right now. Dennis Manoloff is with us. Tomorrow night, Doug Maurice from cleveland.com and the Plain Dealer will join us. Northeast Factory Direct, they've got 3 locations in addition to the website. You want to check it out, northeastfactorydirect.com. Let's take a break. We'll come back in a moment. More sports and Les Levine is powered by cleveland.com.
Wow, Get Nature Stone and never replace your garage flooring again. Act now for huge summer savings on our exclusive Nature's Blend Stone, as low as $2.99 a square foot plus installation. Only Nature Stone eliminates cracked, uneven concrete, and Nature Stone never peels like cheap paints and coatings. Safe, beautiful garage flooring that's always backed by Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor.
Wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
I'm just grateful. I thank everybody in the building from top to bottom, man. And, it's an honor to be here, especially in my hometown. I also want to, thank John Dorsey. He done a lot for me during the, whole NFL process with me, by drafting me and, bringing me here. So I couldn't thank him enough neither. And I just, it's a lot going on right now. Family's happy and I'm happy. I'm happy I'm home. So, yeah, I really just want to go out there and win and do everything in my, power to bring a championship to Cleveland. And I got my whole family here and everybody I love and care about. I know everything about Cleveland. So, I definitely feel I stack up with the best of the best, but hopefully in 2-3 years, everybody will see that.
I think we're all extremely happy for Kareem, proud of him for the work he's put in. For the changes he's made, to be here in his hometown. Everybody's happy for him. But he's a vital part of our team, mentality-wise and culture-wise. But then on the field, obviously, his skills and his play speaks for itself. So just having a guy to help take some of that load off Nick, but also at the same time, teams have to game plan for both of them. They're two different players, two different runners. So it's great to have those guys on our team.
Yeah, I think Kareem's been outstanding in the building, in the meeting rooms, on the field. Obviously, we think highly of him as a player, but I just can't tell you how impressed I am of him as a teammate. I think he's all in, he's always supporting his guys, and really has treats the team in a way that I think speaks to the rest of the guys that this guy's very serious about ball. And then to your point, Scott, I mean, he's made sure that he's living the right way and doing the right things, and that's obviously a big part of this.
Of course, talking about Kareem Hunt, you don't see that very often. He thanked John Dorsey for getting him to Kansas City and then bringing him over here. That's a pretty classy act on his part.
It is, Les, but I'll tell you what, if I'm Kareem Hunt, before my head hits the pillow on a nightly basis, I'm on my hands and knees praying to the Lord, thanking him for his many blessings in most notably the cash, the life-changing not just his family, but his family's family, life-changing money, because it wasn't long ago, Les, that Kareem Hunt was pulled over in a western suburb, and there were plenty of issues related to this traffic stop, but the policeman was extremely patient with Kareem Hunt and very, very, shall we say, forgiving on certain things. And on tape, Kareem Hunt, who presumably has a zero tolerance policy with the NFL, given his background, on tape, Kareem Hunt admits that if he would have had a drug test taken that moment, he probably would have failed. And that guy, that very guy right there, has turned into a guy making a ton of money for by our standards. So if I'm Kareem Hunt, I am very, very thankful and grateful for law enforcement, for the NFL, for the Browns, for allowing me to have that issue on the road and not seeing it eviscerate my chances to make a lot of money.
All right, this is too soon to answer this question, but you've got Nick Chubb to worry about in the next year or two. And number one, you don't know what injuries will take place in the next year. You don't know how Chubb will play, and Kareem Hunt also. But right now, it seems like to sign him it would be an awful lot of money for a first and second string running back. But right now, if you had to make that decision today, would you do it?
Chubb?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt about it. The question is Chubb willing? A very, very smart guy who knows a lot about the NFL, Jim Donovan of WKYC Channel 3, the other night dropped a hint that perhaps a deal is on the way with Nick Chubb. I don't know if it is or it isn't, but I trust Jim Donovan there. And it would make sense from the team standpoint. The question is, how much does Nick Chubb want to hold out for? And I don't mean hold out like literal hold out. I mean, how much does he want to wait on in terms of his cash?
No, I don't see him holding out and forcing a hand. I know what you're saying. You're talking about what his number is and what he's going to stick with.
That's what I meant. Yeah, I didn't mean to hold out like that's not Nick Chubb's style. I meant how much is he willing to wait on in terms of the dollar amount before he says, okay, I'm in.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. We've got Doug Maurice tomorrow night. Bud Shaw moves to Monday for a little while Mary Kay changes her schedule so she can get to the games on the road and so on. So Monday it'll be Bud Shaw. Hope to see you on that night. You can also follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/More Sports and Less Levine. New content posted each and every day. We post it, you answer it, we read it. Simple. Couldn't be simpler. Let's take a break. We are powered by cleveland.com.
We're living in uncertain times, but you don't have to put your future on hold. At Tri-C, you can move ahead while staying safe and saving money. The majority of fall classes will take place online, but we've added a variety of formats to meet your learning needs, and we've taken many steps to keep you safe on campus. Whether you're ready to get started or your four-year plans have changed, check out Tri-C's programs and resources, because Tri-C is where futures begin.
Well, hello, everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Brown's Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, you can get text sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Lobby, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site. You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is one text, but you won't want to cancel. We have hundreds of subscribers join us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week, and it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on And to keep your family warm this winter,
Here, let me show you how this works.
it takes Bryant.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at smiley1.com.
Well, I mean, Baker's always been a competitor, so that's always come out of him. I think he looks great, been super dialed in. Now that we're starting to get into game weeks and game plans, now this is when the great communication, the great conversations of kind of digesting and dissecting the other team each and every week. This is, the fun part. And this is where all that work comes into play, where you prepare all training camp and you go through kind of your normal looks, and now you get week after week a new change. I think Baker's done a great job of that in the past, and I think we'll continue to do that, of just dissecting another defense and understanding what they're trying to do to us and getting us in the right spots.
Hey, Baker, this is your third offense in as many years, your third coach in as many years. That's not easy on a young player, understandably. Now that you've gone through training camp, you've gotten to get on the field and work with Stefanski's offense. I'm sure you're confident heading into the season, but where are you at? Do you feel like you've been able to maybe take a pretty nice step forward over these last 4 or 5 weeks?
Yes, I would have to agree. Improved over the last, the training camp session, just based on, it's one thing to learn the offense over Zoom meetings, but then go out there and practice it, rep it, and really have a feel for it. So yeah, there's definitely been a lot of improvement.
So much is made of chemistry, and this offense, just based on what it seems that Kevin's going to ask of you. How do you feel about that aspect and the, everybody's involved, fullbacks, running backs, receivers? It's a very comprehensive, deep offense. So how do you feel about that chemistry aspect going in?
I feel good about it. It's like you said, there's an offense where there's a lot of accountability. You got to be where you're supposed to be and be there on time. And, same goes for my reads. Listen to the footwork, feel the, go through the reads and trust that, and trust that they're going to call plays to get the ball into people's hands.
E-Man, you got Baker Mayfield coming off 2 years ago of what I considered a good year, then a poor year last year. Most of the local people covering the Browns have the same feeling, and that is that somehow, some way, Baker's going to be much improved this year. What to you constitutes a good season or a winning season? Well, winning obviously is the games won, but what constitutes a good year for Baker Mayfield?
I mean, victories. You got to deliver victories by hook or by crook. I mean, I suspect that Kevin Stefanski would be fine with a victory that doesn't involve ridiculous numbers by Baker Mayfield because of the egalitarian nature of his offense. And you think about the running game, you think about the short passing game, the play actions and whatnot that lead to long passes, but maybe a ball control situation, which, by the way, would come in very handy against Baltimore. The more you possess the ball, the less chance Lamar Jackson has to win.
And the amount of time and the amount of tight ends that the Browns could utilize.
Yes, no doubt about it. Unless, here's the thing. I will judge Mayfield, as I said, on victories delivered, because his numbers, you're expecting them to be good if the Browns are going to be good. That's almost a given. I'm not saying that the Browns are going to be able to overcome a bad statistical game from Baker Mayfield. But when I look at what I'm talking about is, think of the Patriots, think of the 49ers, the gold standard, the Patriots, and then, of course, the Niners on the rise here with Shanahan. They were in the Super Bowl last year. Belichick has always been a guy saying, you know what, if Tom Brady were to throw for 150 yards and we had a matchup to exploit on the ground, we're going to do it. If we need Tom Brady to throw for 350 yards, we're going to do it. If we need him to throw for 250, we'll do it. You saw Shanahan with Garoppolo last year do similar stuff. There were games where Kyle Shanahan was saying to the opponent, you can't stop my running game, so I'm not just going to throw for the sake of getting Jimmy Garoppolo's stats padded. Another team, the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans went, pretty well. It did a nice job in the playoffs last year, certainly with the upset special over Baltimore. But when they needed to run the ball, they ran it. And Mike Vrabel wasn't worried about Ryan Tannehill's stats at quarterback. He was like, well, how are we going to win the game? And I think that's where Baker Mayfield comes in, because maybe Mayfield is needed to throw the ball 45 times for 350 yards, and then other times he's not. And that's why I don't think you judge him strictly on stat line. You judge him on, did he deliver a victory?
Right now, Smiley One, they're making it very easy to invest in a new heating or cooling comfort system without breaking your budget. And for a limited time, you could take advantage of the special financing for 36 months on select Bryant high-efficiency equipment. They make it easy for your family to stay comfortable all year long. Call Smiley One for further details. 216-575-0403. You see Northeast Factory Direct in the lower corner. Well, you got 4 places you can go if you include the website, which is northeastfactorydirect.com. Check it out. Guaranteed lowest pricing in town. We'll take a break. We'll come on back in a moment. Dennis Manoloff getting ready for Browns football. The next time we see you, or the next time he sees us, we'll actually be talking about Browns wins and losses. Can't wait for that. Let's take a break. Come back in a moment. We are powered by cleveland.com.
Never replace your basement flooring again. Act now for huge summer savings on our exclusive Nature's Pearl Stone, as low as $2.99 a square foot plus installation. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today. It's not just a floor.
Wow, it's Nature's Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions, or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Knee's feeling good. We've been on a pretty good pace, doing the right thing, taking it and ramping up the right way. And we're just going to continue that this week and make sure everything's going the right way. And we'll just continue to progress as the week goes on.
So is it kind of a game time decision, or later in the week you'll have a better feel for whether you'll play or not?
Yeah, we've been on a good pace so far, but you have to continue to monitor it, make sure it's doing everything you want it to be able to do.
I know you're talking about being on a good pace. First of all, what led to that knee surgery for you right before camp started? And then what was it like behind the scenes to get on that good pace? Because I know you were working, but we didn't see it, but what was going on for you to get to this point?
Yeah, so the knee flared up early on, and you have to make a really tough decision because there's no obvious answer. You can, sit with it and try to manage it the rest of the year. There's no guarantee that you're able to get it under control, or you go in and get it fixed, correct the issues, and then kind of rehab as hard as you can to try to get back and not miss any time. So I wrestled over what the right answer would be or what the best answer would be. And in the end, I think, we landed on the right answer. Behind the scenes, we've just been working really hard. to give a lot of credit to the training staff. When we made the decision to go in and get it scoped, that was the conversation was how do I get back in time for the first game? And we put a plan in place, and we continue to push through that and make sure we're checking all the boxes, and we'll continue to do that the rest of the week. and make sure everything's working right, and we can continue on moving forward.
Treader, I'm not sure how many people on the outside thought he'd actually be in position to start that game on Sunday. Facebook question of the day, D-Man. If you had one do-over, which move from the Browns, Cavs, or Indians would you take back? Larry Pantages says the city and Browns should have built a convention center, dome stadium. Summit County and the city of Akron should have taken the Coliseum for the university, and the Indians should have hired Bob Lemon as manager and general manager. That's interesting. Haven't heard that in a long time. Rick May says hiring Hugh Jackson as the Browns head coach he'd like to take back. His win-loss record should be reason enough. Dennis Quigney trading Brian Giles and Ricardo Rincon, and then trading Jeremy Burnitz for Kevin Seitzer, 2 deals that the current regime would not make. That's probably true. Glenn Berger says there's so many bad moves in Cleveland sports history. Les could devote a whole show and an entire show to them. Trading Calavito for Keene ruined the Indians franchise in the 60s, and Calavito proved to be a very good ball player. Well, he was a good ball player when they traded him. So there you have it. Do you have any that come to mind in the last 20, 25 years?
Yeah, I mean, when I think of the Browns in my lifetime, certainly I would have loved to have seen a couple of blitzes of John Elway in the AFC Championship game at Municipal Stadium to maybe speed him up a little bit and not allow him to pick apart the Browns on the way to a 98-yard drive. So that one comes to mind on the Browns side of it. The Cavs.
D-Man, they weren't going to win that. When that snap to Elway hit, was it Steve Sowell? I forget who it was. It hit him in the leg. And it went back to Elway. When that happened, that game was over.
Yeah, was it Watson?
Was it Watson or Sowell? Maybe it was Watson.
It deflected off his leg.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, just so many. It's so painful to even think about it. But when I think of the Browns, that's what I would have loved to have had back. You know, Schottenheimer dialing up a couple of blitzes there instead of the prevent defense. The Cavs, I'm trying to think of how to have gotten more than one NBA title out of.
There might have been a player available near the end of the season that they could have added to the roster.
What's that, Les?
There might have been somebody they could have added to the roster at the end of the season.
Yeah, I hear you. I guess when I'm thinking of that 4-year run and trying to get a second title as opposed to just one, maybe it would be the move I'd like to have back is maybe, you know, Draymond Green fails to convince Kevin Durant to come over to Golden State, because I believe that the Cavaliers could have defeated the Durant-less Warriors again coming off of that 2016 title.
Good point.
But once they added Durant, there was just too much firepower on the Golden State side. Regarding the Indians, I'm trying to think back to the 97 and 95 World Series. Well, the 2016 World Series, okay. A move I would like to have back is probably either Carrasco or Brantley not getting injured during the season. I definitely believe if Michael Brantley would have played that World Series, the Cleveland Indians would have been the champs. But, of course, he didn't, so they weren't. There was no guarantee that Brantley was going to get timely hits, but I like my chances. And certainly Carrasco, if he'd have been healthy, he could have helped that pitching staff a lot. So there's a lot of woulda, coulda, shouldas with Cleveland sports, unfortunately, over the last.
And always will be. Let's go to Dan, who's in Hubbard. Hello, Dan. How are you?
Dan, talking about trades and stuff. I often wondered how Ronnie Harper would have done with Doherty and them if we wouldn't have had Harper for Ferry trade.
Well, you got to believe that Chicago wouldn't have won all those. I think Chicago would have lost one or two of them without Harper.
That's what I'm saying. What we would have done with them.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Ferry did nothing.
Four-man's Jordan. Yeah.
That was a terrible move. I'm going to switch off and go Browns tonight for you too. What do you think is going to take? How long? I'm just so worried. Everybody's so thinking that Mayfield's going to do well, and I really think he will, and I hope he does. But who's going to be in charge of his arrogant ego when he starts going well? That's one question.
His teammates will rein him in.
Well, they didn't the first year.
Well, they weren't talking about the tremendous success you're talking about.
Well, I'm talking about any success.
Okay.
That's one. Number two, I thought last year that they put him, he's so small. I think he's small. Or their offense, are they running? Are they going to run the majority shotgun, or are they going to go under the snap?
So what do you want him to do right now? This is his third year.
I want him to take shotgun. I don't want him to be under the center as much as he is.
I don't know. You're letting guys tee off on him, and you're doing things that that your running game won't allow you to do.
That's the question. And then one question I'll hang up for the answer. For the lineman they drafted number 1, how's he doing? Is he progressing well or not?
Yeah, thanks, Dan. All they ask about D-Man is, can he move from right to left? And that you don't hear much about whether he's doing whatever he's supposed to be doing correctly.
Yeah, we've heard nothing but good things about Jedrick to this point, but we'll have to see on Sunday. Regarding the Bake Show and being under center, you really have to be under center if you're going to execute Kevin Stefanski's play action offense or play action scheme.
You have no play action. You have no play action if they don't have the guy behind center.
I mean, you've seen it, but it's really it's a night and day difference. I mean, you've seen out of the pistol or even out of the shotgun the fake handoff, but there's nothing like the handoff, fake handoff from under center as opposed to pistol or shotgun.
You got it. All right. The voicemail of Truth and Reason comes your way if you can't get to us during the show, which is from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You can call us anytime other than that. Leave us a message at 216-200-6650. I understand we've got some How Come Quickies when we get back. More sports and less Levine, powered by cleveland.com.
Wow! Get Nature's Stone and never replace your garage flooring again. Act now for huge summer savings on our exclusive Nature's Blend Stone, as low as $2.99 a square foot plus installation. Only Nature's Stone eliminates cracked, uneven concrete, and Nature's Stone never peels like cheap paints and coatings. Safe, beautiful garage flooring that's always backed by Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor.
Wow, it's Nature's Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget, Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Doug Maurice will join us tomorrow night. We'll talk Ohio State, or as we used to know it. And, of course, the Cleveland Browns. That'll be tomorrow. You see us Monday through Friday from 6 until 7 Eastern Time. And today in sports history, Dodgers pitcher Sandy Koufax, one of the all-time great, throws a perfect game in a win, or in a 1-0 win over the Chicago Cubs. Sandy Koufax. Paul writes in. We'll get him in a minute. Frank Chance, that's from Tinkers, Davers to Chance, I believe. Dick LeBeau, the longtime coach, played football at Ohio State. Fred's out. Can I speak to Fred? No, I'm sorry, Fred's out. Joe Thiesman, they changed his name for Heisman purposes. J.R. Smith, they changed his name when he forgot to shoot the rebound. And Andrew Zendejo of the Browns, all celebrating birthdays on the 9th of September. How come how come quickie tonight? How come the checks are late, but the bills are always on time? A question long before any problems with the postal system. Right, D-Man?
That's right.
We've all had that, right? Paul says, I love the show. If we look at the Vikings, it seems wins came without a successful running game. critical throws and incredible defense of 2 out of the 3 seemed reasonable. But do you think the defense can come through for the Browns? He's talking about Minnesota's defense when Stefanski was there. Do you think there will be any surprises in the first game, good, bad, or indifferent? What do you think? Just a solid, straight game, or is there going to be some stuff in the bag?
Well, let me just say this, though. Minnesota's got a pretty good back in Delvin Cook, so I don't know about that. But, regarding the defense, the defensive front's going to have to do yeoman's work because I don't trust the linebackers, and the secondary has question marks as well.
All right, D-Man, Mr. Gullible's getting on the edge again with his quickies, but I'm going to give him a try, a comeback.
Love Gullible.
Gullible says, how come my wife made me join a bridge club and then told me to jump off on Tuesday? It's so wrong. Gullible continues on. He says, how come when the girl called and told me to come over, nobody's home, I went over and sure enough, nobody was home.
Gullible's awesome.
We met, Gullible showed up at our event the other day. That was terrific. Larry Pantages says he's not good enough to carry Mr. Gullible's keyboard, but here he goes. How come the noisy squirrel above the living room ceiling is driving me nuts? Here's a historical Cavs question. Larry used to be the sports editor at the Beacon Journal. How come the Pistons' Dick Vitale wanted Campy Russell in a trade, but it didn't happen because Bill Fitch asked for Bob Lanier in return? I don't know if that's true. Is that true, Larry? Could very well be. How come some people think that on November 3rd, voters going into NBA arenas might stuff the ballot box? I promise not to talk hot politics. Well, go ahead.
Great job.
You got anything else for me? We got about a minute and a half. What do we got? Got about 2 minutes to kill.
Well, I don't know what the status of their game is, but tonight. But I just love the fact that the New York Yankees are 21-21 going into today's play, and the Boston Red Sox, as you mentioned, Les, are a complete dumpster fire.
D-Man, I've hated the Yankees more than I've hated anything in my life.
I know, losers mentality. The Red Sox have won a bunch of World Series recently, and the Yankees are the gold standard in MLB. I don't care. I love when the Yankees are struggling. I love when the Red Sox are unrecognizably terrible.
How long will it take the Red Sox to get back?
How long will it take the Red Sox?
Yeah.
If they do it the quote unquote right way with the rebuilding the farm system, it'll take them forever. But I don't think their fan base with that ticket price at Fenway is going to tolerate any kind of a rebuild. So they're going to have to spend the ownership, whether they like it or not. But by the way, the Astros, the Cheatstros aren't exactly dominating baseball either.
Why do you suppose that is? I mean, they're not getting booed. They're not going anywhere where there's a crowd that can boo them. Do you think this is just a long after effect of what happened? And they didn't seem to get pressured by stuff in the off season, though. They had an owner who's kind of a moron.
Yeah, I mean, they've been injured. They can point to injuries to various people, including Altuve, who's on the IL. Bregman just came back. But, I don't know exactly and I know Verlander's been hurt. So they would say it's primarily injuries. But I just like the fact that some of these – because here was the deal, Les. Going into the season, you had Indians fans saying, oh, what's the point of even winning the Central because you're going to have to get past the Yankees, the Astros, maybe even, amazingly, the Angels with Joe Madden and Trout and Rendon and all that. Well, you know what? There really isn't a dominant team in the American League, a team that intimidates you. Now, Tampa's really good. Oakland's really good. Obviously, Cleveland, Minnesota, Chicago White Sox are good. But I think the AL is pretty wide open. I don't think there's any team that's going to be viewed in awe by the opposition.
D-Man, Bieber can't lose the Cy Young, can he?
I mean, you wouldn't think so. He's got an incredible lead. Garrett Cole has hit some roadblocks recently. He was figured to be the number 1-2 or 2-1, depending on how you looked at it. But he's not going to challenge Biebs. It would be stunning to me if Shane Bieber did not win the AL Cy Young. it would require him to just fall flat for the remaining couple of starts, which we know Bieber won't do. And also, Les, I think if he keeps this up, he should be in the consideration for American League Most Valuable Player.
And he'll be pitching against at least Kansas City at least once, Detroit at least once, Pittsburgh at least once. So you would think those are, if they're not automatic wins, they're not automatic losses.
Correct.
All right, we got to go. Great job by the D-Man. When are you on 1100 next?
Thursday through the following Monday on WTAM.
From when to when?
Tomorrow night, post game show, the next 4 nights, and then Triv show Monday.
Okay, keep up the good work. We'll see you next Monday. Next Tuesday, right?
Wednesday.
Wednesday. We'll see you next Wednesday. All right, that'll do it for us. I'll see you tomorrow night. And that's with Doug Lesmerises. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.